Tottenham have got a very serious Xavi Simons problem. Or should I say, Thomas Frank has a very serious Xavi Simons player. This man was brought to Tottenham in the summer for a deal worth around £55 million. And it was after we missed out on Morgan Gibbs-White at Nottingham Forest. Most of you will remember that saga after he looked set to come to Spurs after we activated that strange release clause. Ultimately, Nottingham Forest and more importantly, Evangelos Marinakis threw a bit of a hissy fit, and Morgan Gibbs-White ended up signing a new contract to stay at Nottingham Forest. We then turned our attention to Eberechi Eze, dare I speak his name after what he did in the North London derby a few weeks ago. And once again, it looked like we were going to sign him. We reached a verbal agreement with Crystal Palace for the transfer of Eberechi Eze for Arsenal to then come in the very dying moments, and he joined then. He actually called Arsenal before he was going to sign for Tottenham and asked if there was any chance that they were still going to come in for him. So Spurs missed out on two of their primary central attacking midfielder targets in the summer, and the pin then dropped on Xavi Simons. He is a player that I think a lot of our fans were quite interested in anyway. We've seen his work at a number of different clubs: Barcelona, PSG, RB Leipzig most prevalently, and he was linked with Chelsea. But Chelsea weren't willing to come in for him until the very, very last moment. As a result, Spurs swooped and they got this deal over the line. But it still felt a little bit strange to me. It still felt like it was a bit of... I don't want to use the term panic buy because I personally am a very big fan of Xavi Simons. But it still feels like it was a bit of a saving face transfer after we missed out on Eze and were embarrassed by our biggest rivals. I think there would have been absolute uproar across the Tottenham fan base if we'd not have gone out and signed a number 10, a good number 10, in the absence of James Maddison, in the absence of Dejan Kulusevski as well, of course. Before the summer transfer window closed, we signed Xavi Simons, and a lot of us were very, very excited about this. We thought he was going to come in, he was going to be the new face of Tottenham. You know, Heung-min Son gone, Xavi Simons in. He's going to be that guy to be that star quality in the middle, going to be that creator, going to be that creative spark for Spurs that were really going to kickstart the Thomas Frank era. And yet, we've not seen him. We've seen him in part, but we've not seen him very often for the length of time that I think a lot of us would like to have seen him for. I think he's been on the bench for 4 games in a row under Thomas Frank now, and it's raising a lot of questions. And to me, from outside in, when you have a look at how Thomas Frank's been speaking about it in the press, the excuse that Thomas Frank is using when it comes to not playing Xavi Simons for Spurs is that he is trying to adapt to the Premier League, the physicality, the speed, all of that usual sorts of nonsense, which I get to an extent. And players, sometimes they do need periods to adjust to different leagues in football. Xavi Simons is quite a lightweight player. He's quite agile. Maybe he does get pushed around a little bit in training. Maybe he needs to build up a bit of strength, which I understand. What I don't understand is when we are a side who has struggled to score goals this season under Thomas Frank, why we continuously opt to put anyone but the number 10 we signed in the summer for big money in that number 10 role from the start. We've seen Xavi Simons play there once or twice. We've seen Pape Sarr play in the 10. We've seen Lucas Bergvall play in the 10. We've seen Mohamed Kudus play in the 10. We've seen a couple of others play in that number 10 role. But it just doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like the best way for a player to adapt to a new country, to a new league, is to give them minutes and experience in said league. I think the only way that Xavi is going to really adapt and really become the player we all want him to be is just by playing, building up some rhythm, building up consistency. Because when he is handed the odd start, he doesn't necessarily set the world on fire, but I don't even think he's been bad. In the cameos that we've seen from him, you can see what he's trying to do. And the problem a lot of the time this season has lied behind him, where Frank's been so intent on playing more of a defensive shape, and he's loved that Paulinho Bentancur pivot so much. They've played him behind him, and they've not really given him the ball to be able to operate in that space between the opposition defence and midfield. So for that reason, it's been really difficult for him. But he really doesn't seem to be trusting of Xavi. Thomas Frank says he doesn't seem to trust him. And it makes me question whether this is a Thomas Frank signing or whether this is a Tottenham Hotspur signing. And I think it's frustrating a large portion of the fan base, because Xavi is a good player. I'm not having anyone tell me otherwise. He's got brilliant traits about his game. He passes fantastically. He runs excellently with the ball. He gets back and does the hard work defensively as well. So there's not even that to use as an excuse. And he can score. He can score goals. I've seen it in games, whether that's been through highlight reels or watching the odd Leipzig game in the past or something. So it's really frustrating me that Tottenham seem to have this Xavi Simons problem when I look at it as he is the answer. He is simply the answer to how we improve and become a better team under Thomas Frank. At what point does Thomas Frank sit there and go, I need to play Xavi for us to be able to go up a level and really compete? Because at the moment, as I've said a lot of times in previous videos, I think Frank plays it far too safe and he's very cowardly in terms of the lineups and the tactics that he deploys. I'm not necessarily saying that he is a complete failure. Those of you that have watched my previous videos over the last couple of weeks will know my feelings in full about him. But this is the biggest gripe I have with the head coach, is the Xavi Simons situation. Because I just think he offers so much. He offers creativity. He offers quality in tight spaces. He's able to carry the ball forward up the pitch. I think, for example, against Newcastle, Lucas Bergvall played in the number 10. And I love Lucas Bergvall. I think he's the brightest talent of the club, and I think he's got such a bright future ahead of him. He's got the potential to go on and become a world-class player. But I don't think he's a number 10. I don't think that's his best position. I just think he lacks that creative spark and that creative mind, for example, to really be able to have the maximum impact in that number 10 role. And this is, obviously it's not relatable too much, but I play in that number 10 role for my football team that I play for on the weekends. And you need to be able to have that creative instinct about you. You need to know what you're looking for before you've received the balls. You need to know where your players are running. You need to know what you're looking for, whether that's a ball in behind, whether it's out down the channels, whether it's short, intricate passes with your striker and with your midfielders. And while Lucas Bergvall works hard and he runs hard and he does have quality and he does have the little flicks and all of that sort of stuff, he's not that type of player. In my humble opinion, he's not that type of player. So I think what we need to see from Tottenham is that bit of bravery. And I'll bang on and on about it until Thomas Frank hears me. That bit of bravery, particularly at home. And this is where we come on to the Brentford game this weekend. We're just off the back of, I think what we can all agree on is a good result against Newcastle, right? A 2-2 draw. Arguably Newcastle were there for the taking, but I don't think we ever come away from St James's Park having not lost and been too happy. Again, it maintains one of the best away records in the Premier League, which Tottenham have this season. The home record is the problem. The home form is the problem. And I do genuinely think teams come to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and they get way more of the ball than they probably should have when you're playing in front of a home crowd. And I just want that mentality of our home games to be impose control, dominate, create chances, at least give the fans some excitement to watch, at least have the attacking players on the pitch to be able to create opportunities, even if the striker's off form and he misses a few. But I don't think that will be the case, especially when we've got quality like Randall Kolo Muani up front at the moment. I want to see Xavi providing those moments. And I don't have anything against the players that are playing there ahead of him, but I just think Xavi is the answer. And until Thomas Frank decides to take that leap at home, I think our home record is going to continue to struggle. I really, really do. So for Brentford this weekend, it's like Fulham. On paper, it's a game every Tottenham fan expects to win. And the atmosphere will turn if we do exactly what we did against Fulham last week and we go behind and we start to struggle. For Tottenham, we need to go out there, impose control on the game and really, really show the fans what it means to be a Tottenham Hotspur player and how Tottenham play football. And that includes Xavi Simons playing in the team. I think it includes a few different things. And I mean, this is a lineup I would go for, right? So obviously, Vicario in goal. We're over what happened last Saturday. Now we move on from that. I think back four, Destiny Udogie, Mickey van der Ven, who got rested in midweek. Luckily, Christian Romero, brace in midweek. Fantastic. And Pedro Porro, I suppose. And then in the midfield, I go Lucas Bergwijn in the slightly deeper role alongside Palhinha, I think we go with this week. In the number 10 role, Xavi Simons. On the left, I'm actually going to go with Matisse Tel because I think Matisse Tel has put in a number of different good cameos over the last couple of weeks and he deserves a start. I genuinely, truly think he does. On the right, Mohamed Kudus. Up front, Randal Kolo Muani. I think that is the team. That is a team. Maybe, if I wanted to tweak it slightly, someone like Pape Sarr in the middle of the park. But Palhinha, Pape Sarr, Gray, one of those, fine. I wouldn't be starting Bentancur. I just don't trust him too much at the moment based on what I've seen. And that team is exciting. That team has potential. That team can create chances. That team can score goals. You just got to be brave enough, Thomas, to go out there and put it on the pitch and let them do what they need to do. Brentford are not a pushover. They've got some good players. You know, Igor Thiago is on fire for the Bees at the moment. They've got some excellent talent. Mikkel Damsgaard is another fantastic player. But like I say, Tottenham have got to be winning this game. Tottenham have really got to be going out there and winning this game. Otherwise, it gets messier and messier and the anger just keeps going round in cycles. And what we don't want to do is have a poor home record all season. It's still early enough in the season to be able to turn it around. But it's obviously on the manager and on the players to turn that around. So I'm very, very interested to see how the players approach the game at home at the weekend, how the manager approaches it, and how the fans approach it with the atmosphere as well. It's going to be really, really interesting. I'm going to go with a win. I'm going to go with a home win. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be simple. I'm going to go with a 2-1 to Tottenham. I don't think it'll be straightforward because of just how bad our home record is. But yeah, I want to see Xavi. I want to see him score or at least get an assist. Last time I was at the stadium, I watched him get an assist in the Champions League. Or was it the... Yeah, it was the Champions League. So let's hope that he can replicate that and really, really start to play better. So let me know your score predictions down in the comments below. Let me know what you're thinking for the game. What team would you go for? Yeah, what are your thoughts on Thomas Frank at the moment? Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. I think like 60% of people that watch the videos aren't subscribed to the channel. So if you fancy it, it would help me out massively. And I will be back with a reaction video for you at the weekend for the Brentford game. Looking forward to it, unless we lose, of course, but let's not think too negatively on it, especially after a positive result in midweek. So thank you once again. Enjoy the rest of your week, guys. I'll see you in the next video. And as always, come on, you Spurs.